Oh, Christ, there's a lot more in here than I thought there were. Holy smokes, look at all of you. What a fantastic sight. Give yourself a big round of applause for showing up on such a cold day. What a beautiful image. And thanks, Tina, for all that. I love teacher rallies. You've always got such good vocals in between these boring speeches. So it's great. It's fantastic. Look, I'm not going to spend any time talking to you about Bill 22. I know you've heard lots of stuff about that, and quite frankly, many of you are teachers. You know a lot more about it than I do anyway. I do want to start by thanking the teachers that are here today for a couple of things. Number one, for teaching students one of the most important lessons they can ever learn, and that's how to stand up to a bully. Thank you very much. And number two, I want to thank those of you, hands up if you're a teacher and you've got redheads in your classroom. I'm very sorry. I speak on behalf of all of us gingers for putting you through all that hell. Thank you for putting up with little shits like me for 12 long years. Thank you very much. I appreciate that. Look, on a more serious note, I want to share with you an observation I've had over the last little while, and that is that there's something in the air. And I don't mean particulate, you know, like we are in Prince George after all, but there is something that I noticed back last spring, last year, when workers all over the world started drawing a line in the sand, much like you're doing now. And they've resisted the actions of those who have power in their countries and are making all the rules as they go along. Rules that don't benefit working people like us, but benefit them and the people they report to. And then the winter came up here, and I didn't notice that stuff in the air so much anymore. I don't know if it was buried under the snow or it's getting a little cold and frozen, but I started to catch a bit of a whiff of it yesterday. When so many of you got together down the street there at noon in front of Shirley Bond's office to let them know that very solidly you support the teachers in this province, and not just the fight they're having for themselves, but the fight to protect public education in this province. I want to thank you for showing that support. And I do also want to thank our sisters and brothers in Cupid, we're gearing up for some very difficult battles of their own very soon, and I know all of you will support them when we come to those fights. But I want to thank them for, on such short notice, pulling together that rally yesterday. And again, those of you who spent time out of your day to attend, thanks very much. Because when you see stuff like that happen, you know there's something in the air. There is. And I don't know if many of you here are old enough to remember Operation Solidarity. A few of you do. I'm seeing some folks nod. It was a long time ago. There's folks going, Operation what? What are you talking about? I was only 4 when that happened. I was. Lorraine doesn't believe me. I know I look a bit older than I have. But it formulated some of the first memories I had as a child packing a picket sign like so many of you are right now. There was some in the air then. And there's some I'm starting to feel in the air again now. And some of that's starting here with us yesterday. It's starting here with us today. And when we went from that rally there yesterday, the executive of the Labour Council representing unions across the north met last night, and your Vice President, Tina Cousins, was present, and she updated us on everything that was going on. We had a good, long, solid discussion about what unions need to do together, and workers, whether they're union or not, to support this fight that you've started and this fight that we have to continue. And we had a good discussion about that. And the unions in the room that day, last night, they decided that they were going to come together between last night and now and make sure they did everything they could to encourage folks from across this city to come and support you. And I think from the turnout here today, you can see the folks in Prince George have answered that call, and I thank you for doing that. And then I went home. And I turned on my computer, and for the first time of the day, I started getting some of those news reports that were flooding in from all over the province and some of the wonderful actions. And I don't know if it was the brightness of my monitor. It wasn't quite as bright as Doug's light in my eyes right now, but it was pretty bright. Because I started to well up a little bit, and I started to have a little bit of difficulty breathing. I might have been crying, I don't know. I'll tell you why. I saw reports of government workers, my union, the BCGU, who went to work yesterday morning in Victoria at approximately 60 work sites across that city and they met teachers, many of like yourselves, greeting them there in the morning, asking them for their support. And I imagine the thoughts going through the minds of those workers, and it's a tough decision they're about to make. And that decision is, do I refuse to cross this line? I support these folks, but jobs are tough to keep these days, and they're even tougher to find again. And I know I'm opening myself up to discipline and any number of other things that my employer will throw at me, and we know that Kevin Falcon responded by trying to get an injunction, and he's probably going to try to take some action. We'll do what we can to defend those folks. But what made me well up, sisters and brothers, is I saw these reports of my sisters and brothers in the BCGEU, and they didn't cross those lines. They turned around and they went to the legislature and they joined over 10,000 other workers and community members on the steps of the legislature, and they looked this rotting carcass of a political party for a government straight in the eye, and they said, enough! They said enough! And I tell you, that fight is going to continue to build, and we're going to be there right with them. And we've got other unions that are going to continue that fight, and we're going to call on you for support. And the North Central Labour Council will be here to do what we can to rally that support. And when that call comes out, I know you'll answer it. And I appreciate so much everything you've done to support the folks, because when you hear stories like the ones I heard yesterday, I know there's something in the air. And I think it's smelling salts. And people are starting to smell them, and they're starting to wake up a little bit. And you know what's happening next year, right?
Election.
Something that doesn't happen in corporations where all the real power is happening. We get to decide who we get to negotiate, those of us who are in the public sector. But we also get to decide who makes the policies in this society of ours. And I think we need to send a zero mandate to this government of our own next year. And I want a commitment from each of you this evening that come next year, you're going to do everything in your power to ensure that we deliver a zero BC Liberal mandate to this government in 2013. And I've got a feeling that you're going to do that, and I thank you for your support. And we're going to win this fight, because together we are invincible. Thank you, sisters and brothers.